Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Coco Bros. I'm Michael. I'm here with my brother Eli, and we're continuing our discussion on the Mission Impossible movie franchise. Today, we are talking about the fifth installment, Rogue Nation. Rogue Nation brings us to, another case of having the IMF at their wits' end, being shut down by none other than the American government because the CIA thinks that they don't deserve to be a real agency. But we find that Ethan Hunt, who has long suspected an underground organization called the Syndicate, finds that it does exist, and he has proof now. But now that they're shut down, he knows that he needs to stop these people because they're about to wreak some havoc on the Earth once again. But our cast finds us with the same amount of, or same, a lot of the same people. Tom Cruise coming back as Ethan Hunt, Simon Pegg as Benji Dunn, got Ving Rhames, Luther Stickle. This is his fifth appearance. Love it. Jeremy Renner comes back from the fourth one as William Brandt, and we'll have some new people. Rebecca Ferguson as Ilsa Faust, Sean Harris playing Lane, and Alec Baldwin playing the head of the CIA. So today, as we did in our last episode, we want to kick it off by talking about our three favorite scenes each, and then any honorable mentions, and go from there. Eli.
Well, my first one, as we had discussed before.
The BT dub, this is a re-recording because we were all over the place.
Hey, you don't
got
to tell people. It's all right. It's all right.
So
all
be
right.
cool. Be cool.
No, my first one actually still stands. I do enjoy that scene where Ethan Hunt actually gets his briefing. He ends up going to a record shop, and I just learned this a little bit ago from Michael that they used this same type of, I guess, briefing announcement
technology.
Technology or whatever from the 60s show. So he goes to a record shop. He talks to the attendant there, and she gives him this vinyl record. He goes to this listening room, pops that bad boy in, and that's where he gets his briefing. However, the twist there is while he's getting his briefing, it turns out that it's the syndicate themselves that have made this briefing for him, and it's Lane talking, the bad guy, talking to him, telling him that he knows about the IMF. He's on to them. They know that he knows that they're after them. And then all of a sudden there's a gas that starts being released into the room that knocks him out. As he is in there, he turns around and he sees Lane actually inside the store now. And he's talking to the young lady that he talked to that gave him the vinyl. And he pops one in her head, unfortunately. Super innocent girl. All she's doing is just working. And then she gets killed over nothing. But then Lane just kind of looks at him and then leaves. Like, whatever. And even from that moment, you can tell Lane is just creepy. Even his voice is creepy to me. Like, when you hear him talk,
it sounds like this.
Well, it's like nasally almost, but...
dude, that's an excellent impression. That was pretty good. That was way good.
Something creepy like that. But I enjoy that scene. Just the way that he received his briefing and that twist that it was actually the syndicate. And as actually I'm talking about this now at the end of the fourth one, Ghost Protocol, right? That was the name of the fourth one.
Mm-hmm.
Now at the end of that film, didn't somebody got away with something, the missiles or launch codes or something, right? And then they said, oh, it was a group called the Syndicate. So there was kind of a little blurb in there at the very end about the Syndicate. And then the Syndicate actually really comes to light and, being introduced in this one. So really, it stemmed from the fourth movie. Had they stopped him then, we wouldn't have this fifth movie.
We wouldn't be in this mess. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Okay, so my second one is actually going to be they go to an opera house. There's a play going on, and I think we decided it's a chancellor. That's what we're calling him. There's a chancellor, this foreign dignitary that is going to be assassinated. Ethan Hunt is there to stop the assassination, but while he's there, he sees Ilsa, Rebecca Ferguson's character, up on this prop that's being moved around, and he notices that she has, a rifle as well, and everyone's kind of pointing in the same direction, but in not being able to get over to her because he's now in a fight with this other dude, this other hitman, and he's on this catwalk, and while they're fighting on the catwalk, it starts moving because Simon Pegg is in the control booth. Now he's in a fight over there, and they keep hitting the controls, and that thing keeps going up and down, and those two are trying to fight, jumping from different levels, all to come to, a wrap up of no one ends up shooting the right person.
Right.
But but the way that whole fight scene was choreographed on that catwalk, and then also trying to make his way over to Rebecca Ferguson I thought was pretty cool. And then my third one was actually how they finally captured Lane at the very end. They tricked him into, this whole high-speed chase. He's in pursuit. He goes after Ethan Hunt. Ethan kind of drops down into this manhole, and Lane follows him, and then it's just pitch black. But then all of a sudden, everybody comes out of the dark, everybody in the IMF, and Lane is actually trapped inside this glass box. That one I thought was really cool just because it was, I don't know, I thought it was very clever, kind of luring him into this thing. And you see them constructing something beforehand. You see, and they're like, okay, it's almost time. We need more, get this thing together. And you don't know what they're doing.
You don't know what they're doing.
All of a sudden and all of a sudden you see what they were doing was they were putting this whole trap together. And not only was it like, hey, we got him trapped in this box, they load him up on this truck and the truck takes off with him. Like, I don't know. I thought that was very Tom and Jerry-ish. It was very cool.
Kind of, right? Lure you into a trap. That's right. It's like, Wile E. Coyote got stuck into a thing, chasing a roadrunner.
Right.
But yeah, right there, we'll do a quick
so those are my three.
Those are great. I think those are great. That's a great choice. We'll call out right there. So when they put him in that box and then they push the thing back into the police car, the old paddy wagon.
Yeah.
This is the first Mission Impossible so far where the bad guy didn't die at the end. So interesting.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until, we were talking about that a minute ago. But once you said that, I started thinking, I was like, well, yeah.
Pretty nutty.
Very cool.
Setting up for the next one, I guess.
What are yours?
So my first favorite scene would have to be the opening scene. Brings us to like a runway where we got this large military jet about to take off. Benji's out in this field on his tummy in a ghillie suit, trying to hack this. This airplane. I guess there's something, and Jeremy Renner's on the comms with him saying, "You cannot. That plane cannot leave. It cannot take off." And they keep saying, "Where's Ethan? Where's Ethan? I don't know." And then you got Ving Rhames who chimes in on the comms and like, "Luther?" And he was like, "You're supposed to be in such and such country." He's like, "I am. I'm helping Benji, hack whatever." Anyways, Ethan comes running over this grassy knoll, jumps onto the plane, and they're like, "Ethan, you're there?" And he's like, "Open the door." And they're like, I love it. He's like, "Open the door. Where are you?" "I'm on the plane." "Oh, how'd you get on the plane?" "No, I'm on the plane." And he's hanging on the outside of it. And it's funny because the plane's taking off. It's taken off. It's in the air, and he's hanging on the side of this plane. Benji's messing with all the stuff. Opens the cargo door, and he's like, "Wrong door. Open the other door." Finally, that door opens, and he gets in, and they're able to get look like warheads on there off of the plane safely. But what a cool opening scene.
That was a great scene.
It was,
and that was insane that he actually did that stunt.
Yeah. I think that's one of the coolest things. We are familiar with Tom Cruise doing a lot of his own stunts, but that in particular, that's a wild stunt to do himself, right? So that's pretty cool.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I would think my second favorite scene would be when so as you mentioned, he was in that vinyl record shop, gets gassed out, and he's taken captive by the syndicate. Well, we find him in some creepy dungeon-looking basement thing. Also, real quick to note, in all these foreign countries, why are all these creepy places just around in the city? Underground, right? Because when he breaks out, he's like in an alleyway and some... anyways, I'm just like, dude, what is this, Gotham?
Well, Well, did you ever watch Hostel? That's exactly what happens. They take him to some creepy place, and
Yeah.
bad things happen.
Dang. That makes sense though, right? Creepy place equals bad. So, anyways, when he's taken and he's chained up to this pole, he's got his arms up. Ilsa Faust comes in. This is when he first sees her, but he sees that she's not a bad guy girl. And anyways, some other guys come in. They start a big fight. Now, my favorite part about this scene isn't just the fighting. It's a pretty cool fighting scene, right? Because he's doing as much damage as he can while he's chained up to this thing. But he needs to get out. I think she threw him some keys and he dropped them, so he couldn't get them, so he couldn't unlock his handcuffs. So what he did was he turned his body upside down and he cinched his way upside down, up this pole, and was able to climb off the top of it. Dude, that's crazy. And I think, man, what
I can do that.
what you can?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have to. Okay, cool. Well,
If
maybe
the pole
next
was
time
laying
we
down
film-
on the ground,
Dude, laying down on the ground. I don't even know if I can do that. Good luck. So that's a cool scene. My third favorite scene, they have to go to Africa to this facility. Basically, Benji needs to break in to get some information before the bad guys can, and it's in this very secure facility. And in order for them to be able to get in there, or Benji to get in there, because I think what it was he wanted to use a mask. I think Benji's dream is to wear the mask, but they didn't have a mask or for this particular
right,
case. So
yeah.
what they had to do was put his identity in this security system when he goes to this facility so that he can walk through and bypass all the successfully get through all the checks and stuff, right?
that's right.
But
Yeah.
this the place where they have to swap out the information. It's weird. I think it's really fake and outlandish, but it's pretty cool. It's in a giant room underwater, like this big toilet bowl thing with all these
Right.
profile cards. Anyways, Tom Cruise has to dive down there into the system, get in there, swap out the cards, all before Benji reaches a certain point, or else he's going to die. Right? He'll get shot and killed for being an imposter. But so that scene's super cool because one, I think the technology that they built around it, like this is the scenario, and then the way they went about it. He's in this thing, has to hold his breath forever. You think if you can hold your breath for a long time, you just got to get in there and swap it out. But then you got this rotating thing that's going around, and he's having to dodge that every time it comes around. Loses consciousness. Ilsa has to come and save him. It's a really cool scene, and especially to note that Tom Cruise actually did that scene and held his breath for 6 minutes, which I think so far in Hollywood, anyways, that was the record for Hollywood stunts. 6 minutes holding his breath underwater.
He held his breath for 6 minutes?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
No way.
Yeah, way. But here's what's even cooler about this.
What?
Or I guess not cooler. You know who broke that record not too long ago?
Your mom? Who? That's a lie. Our mom has asthma.
Kate Winslet in
What?
Way of the Water.
No way.
Yeah.
Of the
7
water.
minutes and 20 seconds.
Stop it.
Right. So
Dude,
she's
I
just-
can do like 35 seconds.
I can do about a minute.
Okay, at the end of this, we're going to have to hold our breath and see.
I
who
can do
holds
about
the
5
longest.
minutes. Not a big deal.
Whatever.
I can do about 20
Dude,
minutes.
that's crazy. Shut your face.
Anyways, but yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. But excellent scenes, all around greatness. So
Yeah.
let's talk about some honorable mentions. Eli, you got any other scenes that are worth noting that were pretty cool?
You going to give me a third scene?
Those were 3.
Plane.
I gave you my plane. I gave
Breath.
you him scooting off
Room.
that pole.
Okay. No, you got it. Yep. I apologize. I can't count. So maybe I can only hold my breath for 10 seconds.
Did I say 35? I meant 10.
All right. Honorable mentions. I do like that. So like you mentioned, what the heck is his name? Alec Baldwin. So he's head of the CIA. He's trying to disband the IMF. So at some point in the beginning of the film, he's sitting before this board um, and pleading his case on why they need to disband the IMF. And Jeremy Renner's in there, actually. Right. And what did he keep saying?
Kept saying,
Every time they asked him a question, and
I can either
he
confirm
said something
or
like,
deny. Yeah.
yes. Yeah. Like that's all he kept saying, and freaking Alec Baldwin was getting pissed off. That was all he would say. And then fast forward to the end of the movie, well, towards maybe the middle of the movie, he ends up finding out what the IMF really is doing and how they operate, because they go and see he wasn't the chancellor, he was the prime minister.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they use the whole mask technology thing. They pretend to be other people. They go in and they're getting the truth from this guy. And Alec Baldwin, that's when he finds out, okay, all right, they're legit. They're actually doing, stuff for the better good and all this other stuff.
They're here doing the Lord's work.
At the end of the movie, right. At the end of the movie, now he's back in front of the board and he's changed his mind. He's like, nope, we need them. And they're like, okay, 6 months ago you were trying to get rid of them. And then they look at Jeremy Renner again, ask him questions, and he answers the same way.
Yeah.
Can either confirm or deny.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's cool. That is cool. I like that.
But no,
I
thought that was awesome. That was funny.
Another cool scene I really like is, so Ethan's gone off the deep end, right? Well, he has to, and because as soon as they disbanded the IMF, we need to bring Ethan Hunt in because he's a terrorist and he's out running who knows where, and nobody knew where he was. But there's a scene in the kind of the beginning where they're sending like a SWAT unit or something they're approaching his position, or at least where they believe he is. And you see him, he's working out in a room, and it's like, dude, they're about to bust down this door. And they bust into this room, and Ethan has been there, and there's all these, things on the wall, like he's been doing his research, but he's watching them on a camera from another room in another country. And and it's just like, man, he's foiled them again. He's fooled them. And Jeremy Renner, I think he's back at headquarters or whatever, and he's like, he's supporting this as his job, but deep inside he's just so grateful that Ethan wasn't there. But so that's cool. And one of the things I like is later on, no one's talked to him. Benji's now working at the CIA because the IMF no longer exists. And they show Benji playing video games during work, and like he just hates his life. But he receives a letter, and it's like, you've won these tickets to this opera, and he's like stoked. Right. And he goes to wherever it was, Austria, Belgium, I forget. But he gets there, and Tom Cruise runs into him, and he's like, "So I didn't win any tickets." He's like, "No, I'm sorry, you didn't." Like, it was just to get him there to help him. But I just thought that was so funny. So. But yeah, no, cool
that's
scenes.
When he hands him those glasses too, right? When he gets off the train.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe it was Ethan disguised, but he didn't actually talk to him there yet. But he just like shoved him, handed them.
He like ran into him, and he ended up with
gave him an envelope,
passed him off to him
with stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's funny. I forgot about that. How he tricked him into getting there.
Right, but it's cool. And then they bring Ving Rhames in because they're trying to find him. It's just the elusive chase trying to find Ethan Hunt, who's trying to track down the syndicate. It's just piggybacking off of everyone else's work. But it's really cool. Ilsa Faust, I think she was a great addition. She was cool. As we had mentioned, they brought her into this movie. She's not in the IMF. She's MI6, who's embedded in Lane's group, the syndicate, she's trying to bring them down, but she's just getting double played by her own government, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she
wants out of there, but they keep sending her back in, and she keeps breaking Lane's trust, so now she's afraid that he's just going to kill her. Yeah, and she wants out.
And her whole thing, I think she was ousted by her agency because of something that happened, and this was a way to get back in. And
Right,
So
right.
she's
Yeah, I
got
can't
she's
remember
got
what
like
that was,
Ethan,
but they
really.
did allude to that something happened.
Yeah, so she's very much like Ethan, right? These are two people whose own countries and governments have abandoned them, who have labeled them as
Right.
bad people, and they're just trying to fix things. So Ethan,
Yeah.
I doubt Ethan's doing it because he wants his government to take him back. I think he's just doing it because he knows that's the right thing to do. He knows that these bad people need to be stopped, and even if the government doesn't care about him, oh well, still got to be done.
Yeah, well, and I think he does mention that at some point. No, not in those words, but basically that,
Just like that.
you know, he feels like he has a job to do. Yeah, I think he did say exactly what you said. But yeah, but yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think he's doing it just because it was the right thing to do, and why not? He already started. But
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
um, where would you rate this on our coconut scale?
I'd give this bad boy 9 coconuts. Easy peasy.
Lemon squeezy.
I
Yeah,
want
no,
to
I
give it
agree.
10. I'd love to give it 10. The thing
Then
is,
give it
I
10, buddy.
really
Give it 10.
nah, dude. We gotta sound like we spare some coconuts, right?
All right. I give it a 4.
4 out of 5 for sure.
Is that enough? Is that enough? Spared
change.
coconuts for you, sir?
I'll just change the scale. Yep, 4 out of 5, 9 out of 10. No, yeah, I give it anywhere between 9 and 10 coconuts, man. It's
I see. I do agree with that, and I've said it before. I mean, ever since, well, because 2 was Crumb, right? That movie can go kick rocks, but 3 on, I feel like they've gotten better with each installment.
yeah,
And I know I've given like 9s and 9.5 in the last ones, whatever else, but I do think that they are deserving of these, these higher ratings just because they do step up their game, not just in action, but also I think the storylines. The storylines have also evolved into something, better and more exciting, and you get more involved in these, in the story and what's going on, especially because we'll introduce the next film on our next installment here. But I mean, like you said, the bad guy isn't dead at the end of this one, and it continues.
yeah,
And so, it's a storyline that was good enough to live on, I guess, if you want to call it that, to continue. So,
yeah.
no,
The bit
I like it.
I agree. The storyline is different in the way that it's not one singular group or person. Let's say person who's trying to do something bad, right? Nefarious. It is this large web of lies. That's
Almost like a syndicate.
oh, that's right. It's the shadow organization, which I think is cool because I think it opens up a lot of possibilities. Because who's to say how deep it goes, right? And
Right.
we already in this movie we actually find out from the surface like MI6 had created this program. They created the syndicate with money from the
Mhm.
government,
That's right. Yeah.
from the British
That's
government,
right. Yeah, I forgot about
and
that.
sure, Lane had gone AWOL and doing his own thing, and now here we are with this mess.
Now, one thing that you actually find out later on is that because you mentioned it was a shadow organization, and um, Ra's al Ghul actually shows up with the League of Shadows, and they actually combine forces at the end to take down the IMF. I don't know if you knew
Well, yeah, Gotham wasn't big enough, so
that.
that's funny.
Oh, spoiler alert, everybody.
Spoiler alert: Batman shows up.
The movie that was never made.
Shame. All right.
All
Well,
right.
yeah, solid movie, solid film. I hope everyone has enjoyed it. This is a little more recent. This is 2015. So, hopefully, if you're listening, you're like, yeah, I remember this movie. If I, 9 years ago,
Mhm.
almost. Oh gosh, that's old.
Yeah. That is old. That went by quick.
Yeah,
Dang.
it did. So,
All right.
all right. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us. We really hope to hear you back on or I guess see you, or whatever. We hope you're around in our next episode.
Hope you see us.
We hope you see us and you hear this. All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right. All right. We'll see you guys.
Laters.